Hey, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I've been reading through the New Testament recently, and I've come across Romans chapter 12, obviously. And as I was reading it, I was thinking about how much meat is in Romans chapter 12. Romans chapter 12 gives almost like a summary of how we can love Yahweh with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength, and how to love others as we love ourselves. And like I said, it's so full of good stuff in Romans chapter 12, and I'm going to read it a little bit at a time, and then I'm going to say a little bit about each verse. I got to get my scriptures here. Okay, Romans chapter 12 talks about how to love Yahweh first. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Elohim, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto Elohim, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of Elohim. So it says here, to love Yahweh with all of our heart, we should offer our bodies, our lives, as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to Him, which is just our reasonable service. It's just what's required of us when we want to love Yahweh with all of our heart. In verse 2 it says we shouldn't be conformed to this world. We shouldn't want to look like the world, act like the world, talk like the world, go to the places that the world goes to, not to be conformed to this world, but to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And a good question would be, okay, well, how can I renew my mind? The Word of Yahweh is telling me to renew my mind. Well, how can I do that? The way I can renew my mind, personally, myself, is through prayer, making sure I spend time in prayer with Yahweh in the morning, during the day, try to keep a spirit of prayer. At nighttime, continue, to spend time at night in prayer. And of course, reading His Word, getting His Word into our hearts, into our souls, is an excellent way of how to renew our mind. And then through the day, also take time to listen to some worship music, music that glorifies Yahweh, that uplifts Him, that encourages and edifies our spirit. That's another way that our minds can be renewed. And I'm sure there's other ways on how our minds could be renewed, but those are the ones I can think of at this time. Verse number 3 and also verse number 16, it tells us how we ought to walk. For I say, and this is verse 3, for I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as Elohim hath dealt to every man the measure of faith. And also verse 16 goes with that. Be of the same mind one to another. Mind not high things, but condescend to men of low estate. Be not wise in your own conceits. So this is telling me personally, when I read these scriptures, that we ought to walk in humility. We ought not to think of ourselves too high, that we're all that. But we just need to think with a humble mind, and we need to consider other people even better than ourselves. Okay, verses 4 through 8 talks about using our gifts. And this is one way how this chapter talks about on how to love one another, that if we don't use the gifts that Yahweh has given to us, we actually rob from our neighbor. We can actually steal from our neighbor by not using the gifts and talents that Yahweh has given to us. So I'm going to read verses 4 through 8. For as we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office, so we, being many, are one body in Mashiach, and every one members one of another, having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us. Whether prophecy, let us prophesy according to the propitiation of faith. Or ministering, let us wait on ministering. Or he that teacheth, on teaching. Or he that exhorteth, on exhortation. He that giveth, let him do with simplicity. He that ruleth, with diligence. And he that showeth mercy, with cheerfulness. So we see here the scriptures are listing 7 different gifts that can be used to build up the body of Mashiach. And not everyone has the same gift. Not everyone has a gift of teaching, not everyone has a gift of showing mercy, but everyone has something that they can contribute to the body of Mashiach, to edify and to build up the body of Mashiach. And then in verses 9 and 10, it talks about how we are to love. In verse 9 it says, let love be without dissimulation. Abhor that which is evil, cleave to that which is good. Be kindly affectionate one to another with brotherly love, and honor preferring one another. I looked up that word, let love be without dissimulation. That word dissimulation means without hypocrisy. In other words, there shouldn't be something surface deep. It should be genuine love. There's a different version, I forget what version it is. It says, let love be genuine. Our love for one another and our love for the brethren needs to be genuine, a heartfelt love for the brethren. In verses 11 and 12, verse 11 tells us not to be slothful in business, but fervent in spirit, serving Yahweh. That talks about our love for Yahweh, that we need to be passionate. There needs to be a passion in our hearts for the things of Yahweh. There needs to be a desire in our hearts to pray, to read His Word, to reach out to others, and to do good works. That's how we can be fervent in our spirit, serving Yahweh. Verse 12 tells us how we should go through tribulation. And this isn't always easy, because when we go through tribulations, sometimes it's difficult to rejoice. The scripture says, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, continuing instant in prayer. That when we're going through tribulation, that's more of a time than ever to pray and to seek Yahweh's wisdom in whatever situation and whatever circumstance that we're going through. Verse 13 tells us how to be generous, distributing to the necessity of saints, giving to hospitality. That Yahweh wants us to be generous with what He's given to us, whether it be with our finances, whether it be with our time or talents. It's not always necessary with finances. It could be with a talent, a trade that you might have that you're able to help someone else out. There might be someone that knows how to do plumbing, and someone might need something fixed with their plumbing. And that's another way that we can be generous in our giving, and also using our talents too to minister to the brethren. Okay, verse 14 and 15 says, bless them which persecute you, bless and curse not. Rejoice with them that rejoice, and weep with them that weep. That's talking about doing to others as we would have them do to us. To bless them which persecute you, bless and curse not. In other words, if someone curses us, we shouldn't return evil for evil. In fact, later on in this chapter, it talks about that, not being overcome by evil, but overcoming evil with good. And we'll read verses 17 to the end of the chapter. Recompense to no man evil for evil. Provide things honest in the sight of all men. If it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith Yahweh. Therefore, if thy enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For in doing so thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head. Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. So we see in those scriptures, it's just telling us how to be compassionate. So those are the words I just wanted to share with everyone from Romans chapter 12.
YHWH Learning Channel thanks you for watching this video. We hope you were edified by this content. Reach out to us with the information provided on screen, or you may click on the links to view more of our videos. Please subscribe to be notified of new uploads. Until next time, Shalom.